We Are the Ants by Shaun David Hutchinson is a young adult science fiction novel that tells the powerful coming-of-age story of Henry, a teenager navigating profound grief, trauma, and existential uncertainty. Told from Henry's first-person perspective, the novel explores themes of family, identity, loss, and the overwhelming scope of the universe. Since its publication in 2016, the book has earned widespread acclaim, receiving recognition from the American Library Association, the New York Public Library's Best Books list, and the Nutmeg Children's Book Award, among others. Hutchinson, a seasoned YA author with 11 published titles, uses speculative fiction to pose a provocative question: is humanity worth saving? Henry, a high school junior, is burdened by the weight of his past and present. For years, he has endured alien abductions that have warped his worldview and contributed to his father's abandonment. Mocked relentlessly at school for the abduction stories he no longer dares to share, Henry lives with his overworked mother, his senile grandmother, and his estranged older brother Charlie, who has dropped out of community college and is expecting a baby with his girlfriend. Compounding Henry's emotional turmoil is the recent suicide of his boyfriend, Jesse, an event that continues to haunt him. The latest twist in Henry's troubled life comes when the aliens, whom he calls the Sluggers, offer him a chilling ultimatum: press a button to save the Earth or do nothing and allow its destruction. For someone already overwhelmed by despair and isolation, the choice doesn't seem obvious. In Henry's eyes, humanity's future is bleak, with or without aliens. As Henry struggles with this cosmic decision, he finds himself entangled in a toxic and secret relationship with Marcus, a popular classmate who bullies him in public but uses him for sex in private. The shame and confusion of this relationship, coupled with his lingering guilt and unresolved grief, send Henry deeper into depression. His academic performance declines, and he begins to withdraw from the world around him. A glimmer of hope arrives when Henry befriends Diego, a new student with a complicated past, and reconnects with Audrey, Jesse's best friend. These new bonds begin to pull Henry out of his isolation. However, his relationship with Marcus ends violently after a humiliating public incident. In retaliation, Marcus and his friends stage a cruel mock alien attack, tying Henry up and beating him while wearing alien costumes, an act that deeply traumatizes him. Despite the support of Diego and Audrey, Henry spirals further into despair, questioning not only his own worth, but the worth of the entire planet. As the pressure to decide the Earth's fate mounts, Henry must confront his pain, his past, and ultimately, the possibility of hope. Henry begins to notice the toll life has taken on his mother. Overwhelmed by financial strain and emotional exhaustion, she's had no time to process the pain of her husband's abandonment. Her children, each broken in different ways, are left to cope on their own. Amid this instability, Henry sees a surprising shift in his brother, Charlie. After landing a job with his girlfriend's father, Charlie begins to show maturity and makes an effort to reconnect with Henry and support the family. At the same time, Henry and Diego grow closer. While Diego remains somewhat guarded about his past, it's clear he and his sister have fled a violent home. Diego expresses himself through art, and his metaphor-rich paintings move Henry deeply. When the two share a kiss, it's evident Diego wants something more than friendship, but Henry, still grieving Jesse's death, is hesitant to open himself up to another relationship. Though he has resolved to let the Earth be destroyed, he wrestles with his ability to trust both his own feelings and those of others. Henry also begins to repair his friendship with Audrey. They confront the unspoken guilt and resentment surrounding Jesse's suicide. Audrey confesses that she had known Jesse was struggling with suicidal thoughts and self-harm before his death and had been overwhelmed with guilt. She spent time in a psychiatric facility afterward to address her mental health. As their bond heals, Audrey helps Henry in a significant way. She secretly records Adrian, one of Marcus's friends, admitting to the brutal shower attack. The recording leads to Adrian's expulsion, and Marcus, increasingly unkempt and unstable, begins to unravel. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Marcus tells Henry that he had hoped Henry would out him so he wouldn't have to do it himself. Eventually, Diego opens up about his past. Years earlier, he had defended his mother and himself from his abusive, drug-addicted father by violently breaking his father's arms. As a result, Diego was sent to juvenile detention for 2 years before moving to Florida to live with his older sister. The revelation shakes Henry. He's unsure if he can fully trust someone with such a history, despite the emotional and physical closeness they've developed. Meanwhile, Henry begins mending his relationship with his mother. He encourages her to pursue her dream of becoming a chef rather than continuing her grueling waitressing job. Inspired by Henry's support, she takes the first steps toward changing her life. Still grappling with the loss of Jesse, Henry ends his relationship with Diego, realizing he isn't ready to fully commit to someone new. But things take a dark turn when Marcus attempts to rape Henry during a school event. Henry finally finds the strength to stand up for himself and seek help. In a moment of fury and loyalty, Diego attacks Marcus and is arrested. Following the assault, Henry begins experiencing suicidal ideation again. His mother, recognizing the signs, checks him into an inpatient psychiatric clinic where he starts to receive the help he needs. Through this difficult journey, Henry begins to rediscover his self-worth. Surrounded by people who care about him, his family, Audrey, even Diego, he begins to see that life, despite its pain, is worth living. Eventually, Henry decides to press the red button to save the Earth, but the aliens never come. As the supposed end of the world nears, Henry has a revelation. Regardless of what happens, he wants to live fully, to appreciate each moment for what it is. In choosing to live, Henry chooses hope. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe.